back, I'm Gertie Rude, back again in a bank holiday mood. It's bank holiday Easter Monday and the kids go back to school tomorrow and back to normal, as whatever normal is. So, I think it's a cycle on the washing machine, isn't it, normal? And even then it's not normal, so what is normal? We do not know. It's all up in the air at the moment. So fears Prince Harry will leak. Oh my days, is he that old? Poor old sort. Oh, more about royals. Oh, new book after Veiled. No, nobody cares. He can say what he wants. He's the one that talks to foxes or thinks foxes are talking telepathically to him. So excuse me if I'm not going to be waiting around at Waterstones for that book to drop or podcast or whatever he's got in his little playbook. Play bag. Tool bag, in it with him. He's probably got lots of laters. Yes, he's a right little snipe. Anyway, let's go. Let's see what's happening.
Back to what he was talking about last week at the end of this court case. He said that people would be shocked by what's being held back because he had heard some private details that we didn't hear in court.
Right.
He was allowed to read some documents that haven't been made public. And he says his worst fears have been confirmed by the whole legal disclosure of the case. Right. And it's really sad. He's free to talk about this stuff, possibly. He's free to bring out another book or speak about it on a podcast like Meghan's doing.
Yeah, well, the reason that some of those details were not read out in court was because it was a national part of national, security issues. That's why.
Yeah.
Perhaps it was a bit of a veiled threat from Harry. I think there will be people asking the question that if he loses this case,
which he will,
is he going to throw his toys out the pram and publish or speak to a publication about some of that private stuff that we heard in court? And as you say, Matt, he says it would shock people. So that would be in one sense.
Let me think. Will we be shocked? Probably not, because you see, the problem was that he wrote it in a book, didn't he, darlings? He did. But apparently we're all going to be shocked and astounded at the mess that he's created.
Not going to be enough material for a book. He also said in the promotional interviews following the publication of Spare, his bombshell autobiography, that he had enough material for a second memoir. So is this going to come to fruition?
There's nothing worse than somebody that's just a puppy writing their memoirs. It's ridiculous. I mean, are we going to have to put up with this every 5 years he writes his memoirs? It's absolutely ridiculous. No one cares. No one wants to read it. Well, there will be sick people that will read it.
And I think Palace sources, the Palace are going to be slightly concerned about that one. I think they are probably hoping, just going back to whether he's going to write a book or not, that Harry and Meghan's Californian dream is going to work out.
Can we just stop you for a moment, darling, in full flow? When you say he's going to write a book, he pays someone else to write it for him.
Because if it doesn't, the only thing they've got to fall back on is selling more royal secrets. And I think that is a genuine concern.
Are we here for that?
I think as well,
What is all this with his broderie anglais sort of look? Very Laura Ashley, darling. It must be in at the moment, because I've seen a few people wearing that. Or was it just the same lady wearing it the other day? Might have been, actually, come to think of it. Anyway, let's go.
I'm going to let this one go, regardless of what the outcome of this is when we get the decision from the Court of Appeal.
Yes.
So whether or not it's a legal crusade, there'll still be a moral crusade for Prince Harry. He said he wants to get under the bonnet and fix things.
Yes.
Although this has been exhausting and overwhelming, I don't think he's going to let it go. So he's going to have to find some kind of outlet for this, whether that's another book, whether it's a podcast, whether he tries to help others. I don't know, but I can't see him letting this one go.
No.
I'm going to be a bit contrary here, but
5
years ago, Megxit happened, he's been over many, many times. He comes over for charity events. He comes over for the Invictus Games event at St Paul's.
To be fair, there's 2 or 3 occasions that he might necessarily not have come over to. One was a funeral of his granddad. One was the memorial, something or other. Did he go to the memorial of his granddad? I think he might have done. Can't remember. And yes, he did, didn't he? Because the Queen went and Andrew walked her down the aisle. So there's that. And then the Queen's funeral, he might not have come to that, obviously, if the Queen hadn't died. So he can sort of cite 3 occasions that if things had gone the other way, he wouldn't have come here. And then about half a dozen times he might not have had to come here had he not been taking the King to court, his dad. And then I can sort of cite about maybe 2 or 3 occasions he would have come over for Invictus in Griftus, or when the old girl give her Global World Young Leaders BS. Was that in Manchester or Glasgow? Somewhere like that the other year. You remember it. We all remember it. So yeah, actually, if you whittle it down in the 5 years, if he's come over for charity events probably 3 times, and the rest has been on business type of thing.
In and out for
and filming. And filming for Netflix. If you remember when he got himself around Windsor Castle, that was in 22. Was it early 22? It was the Queen's Jubilee. Or was that 21? No, she died in 22. So yeah, that would have been 21, wouldn't it? Yeah. Anyway, let's move on.
Like funerals and coronations and stuff like that. Is he just going a bit over the top here? I mean,
I don't think he'd be invited, to be honest. I really can't see William inviting him, because he can't just invite him without having her, and I don't think he'll have her at his coronation. There you go.
Obsessed with the security when for the last 5 years, as far as I'm aware,
right?
And I do trust the police, and I think there are police officers and there are people in the Home Office and Royal Household that are thinking, why doesn't he trust the fact that we can keep him safe under these current conditions?
Well, he doesn't care.
In the past 5 years, nothing's bad's happened.
But he took off to the Ukraine straight after, didn't he? So, I mean, he's not really worried about his security, is he, per se? It's a bigger beef he's got. Quite what it is, we don't know. It's because the Marklet wants a motorcade. It's not even about him. He reminds me of his great uncle. Is it great? Is it his great uncle? It's Charles's great uncle. So it would have been his great-great-uncle David, otherwise known as Edward the Eighth, wouldn't he? Would have been Edward the Eighth. And he spent his whole life married to his common... I don't mean common in that word, I mean not of aristocracy, not of the blood royal, Wallis Simpson. Because she wasn't his common law wife, but she wasn't an aristocrat. So, yeah, and he spent his whole life trying to get people to call her Her Royal Highness or something. He was always trying to get his brother, the King, which was George VI, Queen Elizabeth, Queen Mother, to allow his wife to be called Her Royal Highness. And that was a similar thing, but in this manifestation of a similar sort of beef, as I say, it's manifested as a security issue, darlings, a security issue.
The court has heard that when Prince Harry comes back to the UK, he has to give the Home Office 30 days notice for them to assess what kind of level of police protection he should be entitled to on that particular visit. In other words, a case-by-case basis.
Yes.
From Harry's point of view, the security he's provided with on these occasions has not been adequate and has not been up to the standards that he would have had as a working member of the royal family. So, for example...
But that might be because he's not a working member of the royal family. I mean, I don't know. Off the top of my head, could that be the issue? Shall I play devil's advocate, darling? Shall I do that?
There was an incident following a Well Child Family charity event a couple of years ago where he did not have a police escort, and he alleges...
he alleges,
but
nothing happened.
That is the only incident that he's come up with, and that was something that the journalists turned up at, where it was photographers, and he appears to want armed police officers.
Yeah, but the thing is, he made a big thing about that, because I remember that, and he said he was chased by photographers, or I don't know who, down the road, like journalists, down the road, and then people actually had film of him leaving, and like literally nobody was following him, nobody was chasing him. He was pretty much on an empty road in his people carrier type of thing, wasn't it? Or was it a big Land Rover? Something like that, you know what I mean? Big Toyota thing.
Deter journalists and photographers. That's the only case that we've heard.
Well, it goes back to his paranoia, doesn't it? About what I think it all goes back to what happens with his mother in the tunnel in Paris in 1997.
No. That's the scenario he uses to justify this. Basically, we can see by the other day when the Marklet turned up somewhere, like a film or something premiere that no one cares about in New York, and she turned up with a motorcade. That is the sight of things to come. That is where we're heading. And if you notice, Harry is quite fine without a motorcade. He's doing it, I believe, and I've always believed, because his wife wants it. She wants the whole I'm royal, motorcade, outriders, blah-de-blah. Like she sees the president and people like Nancy Pelosi being moved around, probably back in her day, you know what I mean, when she was around.
For him. But I just think it's not within his character to let these kind of things go. And I think, as you were saying, Sarah...
I don't think it's to do with his character. I think, his character, he'd be at home playing on his Xbox. He wouldn't really care. He literally would not care if it wasn't for the person he was married to or the personality type of the person he was married to.
The issue.
And the point was being made by his team when he visited Ukraine that actually he had far the greater security, because he was accused of hypocrisy. Well, how can you go to Ukraine and suggest that you're not safe to bring your family back to Britain or visit Britain? Darling. And his team saying, well, actually he had far greater security in Ukraine, and likewise when...
Yeah, but you can't get away from the fact that the Ukraine is a war zone. It doesn't matter what security he had. Any number of bombardments could have happened from the Russians. It could have done. I mean, coulda, woulda, shoulda, we don't know. He was still visiting a war zone. If they decided to have done a sort of air bombardment of some area or whatever, for whatever reason, he could have been under a lot of threat, couldn't he? I mean, I should imagine any random person living at the moment, civilian living at the moment in Ukraine, is under a similar amount of a potential threat, really, being as how, you know, they're living in a war zone. So, yeah, I'm not buying that.
Harry and Meghan go to Colombia or Nigeria, for example, than he does when he comes to Britain. It comes down to the intelligence sharing, doesn't it? That he can pay for his own security team, but he can't receive the kind of threat level intelligence that he would have had when he was a working royal.
But why would he want that? Because if the security detail has worked out that he needs extra security, why would he need the minutiae? Because even if he has the minutiae, it's not for him to decide how much security he's going to have. It's down to this Ravek company outfit, whoever they are. So it's absolutely pointless. I mean, would they I'm asking you guys because I don't know. Would they say, go to, say, Prince Philip in his day and say, look, we need to give you added security because of the threat, say, when his uncle was killed, Louis Mountbatten? Did they increase the royal family security owing to that? Because of the potential threat at that time from the IRA? I would imagine yes. And that would have been out of the family's control and done by whoever is in control of this. The civil service or security services would have done that. And yeah, it's absolutely pointless. I don't quite know. I do know what he's up to, but I can't really articulate it, if you know what I mean. I'm sure you understand.
And I think, you know, he does have this bespoke system, 30 days notice, and then he gets it. He and Meghan can't freely...
See, there she said it. He's got a bespoke system. So already he's got a system that is denied everybody else. So they've met him halfway and said, well, look, if you're coming over and you give us 30 days notice, we can work out the potential threat. Because obviously they look around at all the potential threatees, I suppose, don't they, and see what they're about and have a look around and see whether there's any loons that potentially going to, you know, I don't know, conjure up something, could be a threat to any member of the royal family, not just Harry. So they would look at all of that and then provide the security detail per the threat level. Or is it just me? But to just have it ad hoc, say, oh, well, I'm coming over to play polo, I expect a motorcade to meet me at... where is it he comes into? Is it Farnborough Airport or Stansted or Manston? The smaller sort of airports where the private, basically the Royals, because I don't think they come into Heathrow, do they, and Gatwick? And like a private plane would land somewhere, say at Farnborough, and would be met by a security detail of motorcade and outriders and men carrying guns, just for him. When Camilla and William and Catherine can manage to go around without all that on a normal day, you know.
Without asking permission, bring the children back. He says he wants them to know their heritage in the UK.
Right, just time for the quickfire question.
I don't really kind of believe that much, do you? Because if that was true, how old are they now? 3 and 5? Coming up 4 and 6? So... kind of awkward and cringe, isn't it? Anyway, I've had enough. I'm sure you've had enough. We'll leave it there for today because I think this story is going to run and run and run, and I don't think we're ever going to hear the end of it, darlings. I really don't. Anyway, wherever you are in the world, have a great rest of the bank holiday Easter weekend Monday. Bye-bye now. Love you.